Hey you guys, it's KillerK6, aka Raymond. Welcome to another reaction video from BigBrudda. Unexpected bad news. That's the one thing I hate, guys, is bad news. And I wonder what's going on. So, without further ado, let's take a look.
I wish this video existed under better circumstances, but unfortunately with the nature of this video, there is no way that better circumstances could exist on this. This is a very hard video for me, because I'm also coming to terms with it myself, and it honestly helps to have a camera in front of me because it helps kind of put on this face almost. So I'll just get down and kind of explain this because you guys are going to see these things, or this instance kind of come up in the future. You may be seeing a certain member of our household that isn't here anymore. And I think, well, I'll just get right into it. When we got back from Hawaii, Ella was not eating her dry food. So we had started mixing wet food in with it too to kind of get her to eat it. We noticed that her stool was coming out very like black and tarry, which is indicative of there being blood in the stool. It eventually kind of subsided. After a couple days, I made a vet appointment for her for like a day or two later, but during that time it subsided. She had kind of bounced back. No big deal. During this time, she was also kind of very lethargic, more so than usual. She was breathing very heavily. She was shaking violently. Had her, like, she wasn't very coordinated. She wasn't able to walk well. Her back legs kept giving out. Wasn't really sure what that was. So the blood sample came back with her being anemic, which she had a low red blood cell count. Additionally, she had a low protein count, which we could attribute to her not eating, or maybe there was some sort of liver issue. So that said, I'd come back after a couple weeks, test to see if anything, maybe it was just a fluke, maybe she just had a bleeding ulcer or something. She seemed to be fine, so we'll come back in a couple weeks and test to see if the blood sample turns out the same way. Following weekend, I had to take Ella to the emergency vet appointment to go see him, and during the time between the emergency and actually getting to the vet, she bounced back again. Weird. During this time, it was the same thing. She was just puking up everything that she was eating. She didn't seem to have control of her bowels. She was laying down, and just constantly shaking, like she was in pain, and it was honestly pretty heartbreaking. So, rushed her to the vet. She bounced back. She's looking fine. So we scheduled an ultrasound. Which brings me to the meat of this, guys. Unfortunately, my dog Ella, the family's dog Ella. The dog Ella that you guys have come to know through the series and everything, dating back to well before 2012 when the Psycho series started. Like our videos of Ella's Thanksgiving and things like that on Jesse's channel. She now has cancer. And what the ultrasound revealed was that she has aggressive tumors in her spleen, one of which had ruptured, and that's what actually caused the bleeding inside of her stomach initially and why she had that black tarry stool. But it also metastasized to her liver, and also to her peritoneal cavity. So she is loaded with cancerous tumors. There were no real options. The option one would be chemotherapy and removal of the tumor around her spleen, because that seems to be the ticking time bomb, as the vet had put it. And it would only really buy us weeks. Of course, it would buy us the weeks that it took to perform the chemo and the surgery itself. And then after that, it's like weeks that you'd get from her. And they wouldn't necessarily be quality weeks. So the vet had kind of said that she has 2 to 4 weeks to live. Yeah, and I've had Ella since 2008, and she slept in my bed next to me every single day. And I know labs only live 10, 13 years. We had one that lived 13 and a half years, and his health was terrible. Thought Ella would, I was expecting this to come. I didn't expect it to come so soon, and suddenly. So I just wanted to share that with you guys because you've been exposed to our family as much as even some people in our actual lives. So I just wanted to share that with you. Obviously not good news, but news that I felt like you people were entitled to, because at some point you would notice in our vlogs or anything that Al is just not going to be there. Last night, this ultrasound actually took place yesterday, and I told Jesse and my parents last night. We didn't turn the camera on until afterwards because I wasn't sure how much of this I really wanted to put out there. But here's basically their response. Hey guys, so we just broke the news, or rather I just broke the news to the rest of my family regarding Ella's diagnosis. So we got here the diagnosis and then pictures from her ultrasound, unfortunately. So it's really fucking real. She's 10 years old and kind of thought that she'd at least get another 3 good years before anything like this started happening. So unfortunately, we all just kind of had to experience a range of emotions. And if my eyes look puffy, that's because of that.
They always look like that.
They always look like that, but it's worse today. So, and we're currently trying to figure out how we're going to move forward with this. So it's anyone out there that's experienced this before, like you know what we're talking about, and if you haven't yet, you will. It's not a good thing, but as long as you have a solid base, a solid family and friends to go through this, and it's not as bad, but still pretty sucks. We found a bunch of tumors through an ultrasound. Today was the day we got the news on that, and they're in her spleen, which ruptured and started internally bleeding in her stomach. It metastasized into her liver and peritoneal cavity. The doctor said 2 to 4 weeks, and that she's a ticking time bomb, basically.
Yeah, doctor said ticking time bomb.
You guys, I understand it was a spleen thing. That is a real organ, and it's a serious one. It actually is pretty important. Yeah, it's a real life Marley, me guys. I call bullshit. I think Ella, I kind of made the joke before, Ella's not going to feel like dying. It's just not in her agenda. She's stubborn as shit. Call me fucking grade A denier. Just even how the medical system is with humans, they have no clue what they're doing, man. East Bump doctors, Ella looking spry in there.
Yeah, even on the diagnosis, honestly, it says the patient is not bleeding at this time and is stable with good membranes, pulses, and general condition bright and alert. So
yesterday, basically, I wrote her off. Sat out there with her in the yard because she collapsed. But then today, she's lively, and it's just amazing.
Yeah.
So she's stubborn like the rest of us. We're stubborn. We're hard-headed, and she'll fight, to stay alive as long as she can.
Mm-hmm. So, to Ella.
Favorite dog ever.
Yeah. So I know, I'm going to reiterate this. It speaks volumes to have like a core base, a great family of friends that are always there to support you and sharing everything. So the process, it sucks. And a lot of you have probably already gone through it, or will go through it, or maybe you're just not pet owners, or maybe you just don't have any connections with any living creature at all. But it's something that we're going to go through together. And like I said, this video isn't meant to it's meant to share with you guys, not necessarily to bring anything down, and also to kind of show you like you don't ever have to go into these things alone. So with that, I don't really have any much more to say about it, just that we're gonna make Ella's last few weeks, or ideally more, maybe she will be fine for a few months, I don't know, but we're gonna make her last few weeks fun for her. Alright, take.
That sucks. Well, guys, I got emotional because I lost 2 dogs. I know what it's like. I had a dog. Her name was Krista. I've had her since I was 6. And when I was 18, we've noticed that she has been walking good. I had sometimes every night. I always give her medicine. I always had to carry her. Well, I had to lift her from the back to let her walk to the doghouse and everything. The next morning, I was off work and I had a day off. My mom woke me up and said, "Son, can you get up?" I was like, "What's wrong?" He says, "She, she's dead. She died. So can you and your brother put her, wrap her in a blanket, can be able to carry her and put her in the garage, please, so your dad can handle it?" We said, "Okay," and me and my brother did it, and it was hard. For my dad always plays with the dogs all the time. And then when he was digging, he was crying. He was like, "I know, this is always the tough. This is always the tough part. I can tell." And as he kept digging, you could see tears coming down. I said, "I didn't expect to do this ever, but we have a dog that she was old and everything, and he kept digging and crying. It was like, oh my god." And we buried her. We laid her head on a shirt. It was my dad's old construction shirt. We put our picture of all of us in that pocket so she'll will always be with her. The next one was a German Shepherd. Her name was Celia. Celia, let you know. This was my baby brother's dog. Had her since she was a puppy. He loved her so much. There was one day that my brother went to work, and I was off that day. And my dad and my brother they went to work too because they went to the same job. One day I was feeding them. I looked at her and said, "Come on, Celia, let's go." And then she was just laying down, motionless. It was like, "Celia?" And I touched her, and she was hard as a rock. It was like, oh no. So I got on my phone, called my mom, let my brother know. It, it was heartbreaking. My dad and my brother they came home. We got her and put her in the garage again. This was when we lived in our new place now. This was not here. I lived with my brother, but we got the place. Now I live in here now with my brother, but my brother moved out, and yeah. Anyway, let's back to the story. My baby brother came home. He looked at me and said, "Where's my dog?" He said, she's in the garage." And I followed him, and as he looked at her body, knowing that she's gone, he was crying his eyes out. I gave him a hug, and I was like, "I'm sorry, bro." Then me, my brother, and my dad, that night we dug a hole. We said some nice things. My brother didn't want to say anything because he was still heartbroken. We buried her right next to. We had another dog, so buried next to our other dog. Uh, losing a pet is hard. It's like losing a family member because they're always there when you're there. It's like what Jeffrey was talking about. It's like there's a saying. I posted a saying back on Twitter. That was when Spider-Man needed help. He was teaming up with the X-Men, and he said, "Hopefully, there's somebody that'll help me." Wolverine looked at him and said, "Just remember, no matter what problems you got or mistakes you've made, you don't have to carry the load by yourself. You have friends if you need them." Saying that no matter what happens, you got friends that are there for you. If you need help, just let us know and we'll be there. Even writing's a lot better knowing that you care. That sucks. It really sucks. Well, guys, this was a sad video. Let's give this video, not my video, Jeffrey's video, a thumbs up. That's what I'm gonna do right now. A thumbs up because hey, he's a great guy, and Ella was a great dog. We've seen her all the way through the Psycho series and everything, and all other series that was before that. She was a great dog. Even the last thing that he did, the last thing right there. I say that he's got 2 or 3 weeks to live, but try to make the best things to make every single minute count. So I hope Jeffrey and the family, I know they will. they'll spend a lot of time with Ella and make every minute count until when she's on this earth. Stay positive, guys, and stay positive, family.